Good morning, good afternoon, no matter where you are around the world. My name is Karen Griffith. I'm an inner freedom and embodiment coach. I specialise around the area of wellness, happiness and mental fitness. I also offer services around NLP, mainly timeline therapy. Now, I thought I'd just get into it because I promised a live around resilience, and I'll touch upon emotional resilience and well-being, wellness. And just a quick recap on what wellness is. It's the whole self, the mental, spiritual, physical and emotional. Sorry, I lost track, my brain wandered there, and that's okay, it happens from time to time. But I'm also going to throw in there financial. Now, I do believe, I think a lot of other content creators and individuals are there to support others and guide them in becoming their bestest self, so to speak, are all leading towards the same thing, in that we live in chaotic times. It's actually unnatural. It's very stressful. We're seeing a lot going on around the world that isn't normal. The more I read around certain things in the news, and also from what I've experienced, I would suggest that now is the time to really invest in shoring up your emotional resilience, your resilience and your well-being, your wellness, because this is going to be your ship, your steadiness as you navigate the challenges that are mostly unavoidable, but in a way you can center yourself so you know who you are, where you are in terms of in relation to where you want to be, and then be fixed on your reason, your purpose, your meaning, and let go and detach from anything besides that. And this is where resilience and well-being will support you and your efforts in making sure that you're focused on what is meaningful, what is truly what you want, and also what's important. Because I've mentioned it on previous lives and I'll say it again, you'd be surprised at how much time you can lose being distracted or wrapped up in self-doubt or fears that are actually of the mind, or stuff you've been told or taught that's actually incorrect or half-truths. So by doing this kind of work where you shore up your wellness, you're focused, and you are unlearning a lot of patterns of behaviours that are and actions possibly as a result of your thinking patterns and your emotional weather, that you're basing, maybe acting out of feelings which are not in your best interest and impact yourself and others. I can't stress that enough. So this is why this work is important. There's no shortcuts. You can start now, you can start simple. That's how I started, and I built from there using support and resources that was available to me. and some of which I had no roadmap for. And that's why I support others, in particular ladies who I work with, and I choose to work with them, and they choose to work with me. And that is that they learn for themselves to return to who they are, what they want, what is important to them, and to move forward, and in a way that empowers them to make the choices in their best interest, not what they've been told is available for them, the programming, conditioning that they've experienced that leads them to think it's not possible for them, and also to understand that it's okay to prioritize yourself, and it's also okay to go for things that are more meaningful and not end up wasting time, energy and resources on the stuff that's really irrelevant, and you can't see it until you do this kind of work. So let's get into it, as I said. So I'm going to refer to some notes because I think it's okay to do so. Sometimes I'm on point. There's other times when I know I need to refer to notes because I don't want to miss out on key points. Now, resilience is the capacity to recover from setbacks, difficulties, and it helps you with a certain level of toughness that you know whatever happens, you can bounce back. This is emotional, this is resilience, so it's a way that you can recover from a set of circumstances, a challenge, difficulty, and bounce back, recover from it. Now, I've had a number of setbacks in my life. I think one of the biggest ones was my mental health setbacks, which resulted in some experiences that really took a lot for me to reorganise myself in a way where I now understand prioritising my health, which is the new wealth, by the way, in a way where I had to take a serious look at what was causing me personal issues that led up to the symptoms I was experiencing, mental health breakdowns, and then to work back from there to make some different choices which required looking at my thinking, my mindset, my thinking patterns, and also taking a close look at my emotional weathers and the stresses that were adding to an already chaotic world that I was living in, which wasn't real. A lot of it was illusionary, and I can admit to that because I think some of what we experience in our reality is not actually real. It's illusion. And when you buy into it, you think sometimes you have to be and perform in certain ways, and that was true of me. I was doing too much. I was giving away my time, energy and attention, my resources onto things, in particular people. I wasn't necessarily getting that reciprocation. That's on me because I was allowing these things to happen. This is where you need to take accountability and responsibility, and that's a tough thing to look at. And I mentioned that on a previous live, to see that my part in what was happening to me, I could change. So that's what's important about resilience. It's not a personality trait, it's something you can learn, and it's something you can start working on today. So how does that differ from emotional resilience? And it's basically your ability to respond to stressful or unexpected situations or crises. So I'll say that again, your ability to respond. Notice I didn't say react to stressful or unexpected situations or chaos, or just stuff, a lot of which is perhaps out of your control. And when I say the difference between respond and react, your wellness will have an impact on your outcomes, your results every time. So when you learn to master and shore up and build your resilience, you will then notice, there are things I can do which are simple and achievable. For example, one of the simple things I do is first thing in the morning is drink water, because I've been asleep for several hours, so actually the first thing is I'm thirsty. For me, that's important as part of my wellness, because I don't want to dip into caffeine or coffee or tea, whatever you prefer. The reason being that it does have an impact on how you respond, react. It's the same way when people don't go into the office and sometimes they're cranky, and I used to be a first aider, and one of the first questions asked when someone's very irritable is, have you had anything to eat today? And 9 times out of 10, they haven't. So it's understanding those little things that add up and contribute to your wellness. So it makes sense if you have water and then you have maybe a devotion. I advocate for self-care, which is part of wellness. The whole self, supporting that, and part of that might be a routine of meditation, yoga practice, whatever floats your boat, but it's something that helps you to centre and ground yourself for the day ahead. So it's prioritising you ahead of the day. So me drinking water, I rehydrate, and then I'm also allowing myself the chance to think clearly, because I've hydrated my body. We're mostly made up of water, so that's again why it's important to drink plenty of water and to start your day drinking the water. And I'm going to stop going on about that. It's also great for the skin as well. So, moving forward, I'm going to give you some pointers to understand some of the characteristics of being stressed. And when I talk about stress, I mean it's ongoing. And it's also important to take inventory of your stressors, so that you don't beat yourself up for thinking you're failing because you're stressed all the time. There could be a number of circumstances under why you are stressed, and a place to look could be thinking. But that said, some physical characteristics would be increased breathing, your heart rate increases, and also you have a racing mind. And when I think back to when I had mental health challenges, my mind was like particularly racing, particularly when I didn't sleep. There was times when it affected my sleep, I wasn't getting enough rest. And of course it will send you do that, which is why I make sure I get plenty of rest. There's times when I still don't get quite enough, and it does affect my performance. So do not underestimate the benefits of eating well, hydrating, your diet, so it's nutritional, and managing your stress in a way where if you've got periods of stress, that you counterbalance it. So it might look like taking advantage of the different types of rests available, because they're not all created equal. They need to be aligned to the kind of work you're doing. If you need support with that, come to me. I can help you understand what kinds of rest you should, so I'm not going to say should, kind of rest available to you that you could be participating to help your wellness, and come up with a wellness plan so you stick with how you then prioritise daily and weekly what is important to support you, so that when challenge comes up, difficulty, situations, stressful ones come up, you are resilient, you can bounce back, and also you can recover and then respond in a way before the recovery happens, so to speak. You can respond in a way where you are not, unfortunately, impacting your actions or behaviours on other people, especially yourself, because it does harm your it impacts your relational world, your relationships, intimate or otherwise, your friendships, your communities, and it will also impact your performance at home. It will impact your performance at work. So stress will affect the ability to be well. So I'm not going to go into stress, cortisol, all that stuff. I think that might be for a different live. But hear me when I say prioritising yourself first thing in the morning, treat it like bookends. First thing in the morning, towards the end of the evening, you are making sure you're doing what you need to. It doesn't need to take long, where you're either winding up for the day or winding down, bookends. And what happens in between should be your choice, what feels good for you, and also helps you to recognise that it's okay to prioritise yourself. Keep yourself well, fit, healthy, and this includes how you think, includes what you give your body, digest, and also what you're letting into your mind. And I've mentioned that on previous lives. Really be guardian of what you are allowing into your mind, because we also said there's a lot of, I say, unhealthy content out there that's not necessarily in your best interest to absorb. So I mentioned stress, what you could experience, increased breathing, increased heart rate, and racing mind. I've suggested breath work really helps with releasing emotions. Emotions are energy in motion, which is why physical exercise is great. Maybe go out for walks. I would invite you to go out without your phone, because one of the things I had to unlearn was reaching for my phone first thing in the morning. Because what I started to recognise with my habits and my patterns of behaviour, which also led to some of my mental health challenges, which I've now worked on, and I'm not keen to go back to those kind of habits. I was so attached to my phone, and I recognised that it was kind of like a dopamine hit. But the thing is, I was looking for something, and it was like I was losing time scrolling. What was I looking for? And energy management is, if you really think about what's causing you stress, also what is drivers behind certain behaviours, habits and thinking, then you can start to interrupt it. So a big piece for me was stop reaching for my phone first in the morning. I didn't need to do that. So what did I replace it with? Water. What did I replace it with? Meditation, yoga practice. You're catching my drift. So I'm sharing things that are an antidote to how you can ground yourself in the present moment, the here and now, because that's all there is here and now. So if your mind is going into the future and it's causing you anxiety, I would suggest adopting a practice that can bring you back into the present moment, being aware that the monkey mind is always latching on to things, and that's where mindfulness practice is a helpful way to start to understand your thinking and how it's impacting your behaviour, your emotions and your feelings, and then seek to make choices in the present moment. Because when you're thinking in the past, you're ruminating, and it's suggested that, not suggested science, I believe 60 to 90%, not 60,000 to 90,000 of your thoughts, they're that many. Of that, 80% is rumination. And when I discovered for myself how I was ruminating, it was typically the same thing. And to unlearn, to buy into that, I was able to do a lot more again with how I managed my time, because I wasn't buying into things from a place of FOMO, which is fear of missing out. And when I got the connection, that dot, and I unlearned my FOMO, which was causing me to expend myself, mainly my resources, on things that didn't need my participation, I was able to focus better on my wellness. So I'm hoping you're getting a sense of the things I'm sharing that you can work on. Okay, so again, the invitation is when you take time, and it's going to rely on you slowing down and really noticing what you need to notice, what you need to pay attention to. So F down, right? Take some time to learn. If you're rushing about, you're busy work, you're doing too much, and that could also look like you're doing too much for people that can actually take care of themselves. So lighten your load, really learn to take a pause, again, slow down. Then you start to notice and tap into more of who you are, more of the authenticity, more letting go of who you think you should be, and being more who you are. And the more you lean into that and more you trust yourself in doing that, I promise you, the wellness you experience is one where there's joy in the present moment. I can experience joy from the simple things. I can also discover for myself what my purpose, what my meaning is, my reasoning. I can also invest in different communities, social circles. I can invest in friendships that are reciprocal. Equanimity is a big thing for me. That there needs to be a balance, that needs to be equal. I can't have relationships where it's just I'm giving and somebody's taking, and I can't expect them to at some point be there for me if I'm there for them. Does that make sense? So when you slow down, practice pause, and you work on your wellness, and you're taking inventory of your stresses, you're taking inventory of your thinking style, your patterns, you're really noticing, maybe getting curious about how you're showing up in the world, the impact you're having, impact on self, others, because when you get that, trust me, you'll make what changes you need to make, and you then work back and you make choices in your interest, better in your interest, that allows you to participate as a better person as a result, because you can't do that under chaos, under patterns of dysfunction, under cycles of chaos that you're choosing then to participate in. So, I say that low. So, well-being, as I mentioned, the aspect of it, but the aspect, what it is, which is the whole self. But well-being is basically its inner state. And these are the things you do have control over, your inner state. Bearing in mind there are things to be worked through, because when we don't have the mind-body connection, or the mind-body and spirit connection, which is why you've got spirituality as a practice. If you want to lean into that, and what that looks like to you could be different to what it looks like to me. But as a suggestion, when you work on the mind, body, spirit, soul, which will ultimately lead you to being purposeful, meaningful in how you move through the world, you'll prioritize feeling good. You'll take better into consideration what you're here to do, the impact you have, and also to care about others in a way where it's meaningful, it's contributing and of importance to the communities. So you are of service, you're not just taking, you're giving, and you're not consuming, you're not devouring, you're practicing and sitting in your values and practicing integrity, walking your walk, and knowing that who you are and what you're here to do. You'll invest in yourself and become more self-aware, so that you can show up in a way that says, I'm proud of who I am, and if I was to go tomorrow, I know that I did what I can with the knowledge that I have, because knowledge is actually information put into action, put into practice, tapping into wisdom and knowing the part of you that knows and always knows, that you know the truth, not the illusionary crap that's going on, and you enjoy being your humanness and the imperfect human that you are, but also to strive to be a better person and to be more of the individual that you are who you are. You're not the performative person. So I'm going to start wrapping up. So it's basically taking steps to improve. Taking steps, which is conscious, it's a conscious effort. It's not going to happen just up in here. It does require taking back some time, creating time. So I've suggested in other lives, I'll suggest it again. Stop doing this. I love doing my stop doing list. Just as important, if not more important, than you to-do list. You just stop doing stuff. You write it down and then you hold yourself accountable to stop it, especially the stuff that's causing you stress. Doesn't need to happen. You don't have to be the person doing it. If there's somebody offloading onto you, people will offload onto you and they're quite sneaky with it. You can then, because they've got to do their own heavy lifting, you do yours, because otherwise you're rescuing them from their consequences. Your consequences are your consequences, which is why I circle back to really do pay attention to what you're participating in, what you're allowing, what you're tolerating, which is why stop doing lists are perfect. You'll start to see patterns of what you're putting up with, and then you'll be like, I don't want to participate in that anymore, and it's done. And it just gets easier and you become ninja-like, especially if you work with me. So I've mentioned a few areas in wellness that you can work on: social support and connections, rebuilding relationships, physical health and fitness. Like I was in the gym today. I'm trying to get so much done before I have my bedtime and chill. Self-effectiveness, which is awareness. Really understand your patterns, because without awareness you can't make changes, because what you're doing is bringing the unconscious to conscious. So, and that has its challenges, I'm not going to lie, because I will mention it again, offer yourself compassion and empathy, and then you can offer it to others. I find it interesting that there's this view that we offer it to others and not ourselves. I would say it's the other way round, possibly, because that's my observation. We probably willingly give it to others, but we're not necessarily compassionate ourselves. Because when we're compassionate ourselves and we notice our patterns, and some which are harmful to others, and it hurts us as well, we're more inclined to recognise, okay, what I see in other people that I don't like is also in me, because that's true. Because, believe it or not, there isn't much for us to be that person. Does that make sense? So really do recognise sometimes when we're in judgment of others. So if you recognise judgment is a thing of a pattern of you, you're critical, you're judging, really ask yourself, where is that coming from? Really ask yourself, why do I think in... What is causing me to think, what is causing me to project, because that's what it is on that person, and then get curious about it in a way which allows you spaciousness, to say, okay, if it's true what is I'm seeing in them that I don't like is also in me, what can I do to unlearn how I'm reaching this judgment and not giving space to accept that's how that person is, and actually be okay with that and move or deal with them accordingly. And that might mean, if that's no longer for you, it's either a conversation, and you give that person opportunity, or you just say, not for me, and that's okay. Okay, so I mentioned healthy thoughts, did I? It was kind of a roundabout way of thinking. Healthy thoughts. This is where mindful-based practices are very helpful. I would suggest journaling, noticing the patterns of your thinking. Because it's not going to happen overnight. And notice I didn't say positive thinking. It's important, very important. But I would argue unlearning unhealthy thinking patterns is more important before sticking positive, because otherwise it's a cycle. So notice the patterns, unhelpful thinking patterns, and this is the beliefs work, beliefs, narratives, stories, because we're human beings, and when there's gaps, voids, we tend to fill it, and that's what we fill it with, stories. So it's unlearning all that. Now I can help with beliefs, limiting decisions, that's NLP. So do feel free to get in touch if that's something for you. Also a conversation with me, book a coaching call, because I mirror what I'm hearing, so you've got that feedback, so you're actually hearing what the dialogue is that's possibly going on internally. So self-talk is a big piece in recognising that when we talk to ourselves in a certain way, we can actually be creating emotions and feelings that are not necessarily supporting us in moving forward. But until we catch what they are, and that takes time and it takes patience, we could be in a cycle of thinking we're healthy of mind, but in actual fact we're not. It's dysfunction, to want of a better word, because I've been there, somebody that had mental health challenges, so I know it does take a lot of work to unlearn it. And there are ways to do it, but I'm not going to go into this right now. But what I will cover is this: what is within your control, what's under your influence, and what you can't control and influence. So it's the circle of control. I usually stick with the two: what you can control, what you can't control. But it's being clear on what those look like. I would offer trying to control people. You can't. You can influence them, you can invite them, but it's choice. And if, and that's also recognising if you're operating in a way where you feel you have to control somebody to get your needs met, to feel safe, to feel secure, to feel whatever it is you want to feel, outsourcing your happiness, outsourcing your pleasure, whatever that looks like to you, then don't be surprised if people can't meet you there. You can invite them to meet you there, to meet you in a place where, okay, there's reciprocation, there's balance, equanimity, and there's balance. However, if you think controlling somebody, which is what I see a lot of, for people to be a certain way or perform so that you are okay, I would invite you to really look at that, because it can't be working out for you, not in the ways you think. So really take a look at what I'm saying, really work out for you, what is it that I'm controlling that I shouldn't be? Because what you should be controlling, what you get to control is your thinking, your emotions in a way that serves you better, so you react from a healthier place. Your habits, your behaviours, your actions, the things that you're choosing, what you believe in, your stories, really unpack that for yourself. So, right, I'm going to end now because I've been on here longer than I thought I would be. So, 2 questions. And thank you for sticking with me because I've said a lot. What is the one thing you can do to improve your resilience and well-being? I'll say that again. What is the one thing you can do to improve your wellness and resilience? Your well-being and resilience. Simple, achievable. It might even look like doing your bed first thing in the morning. Doing it neatly. Your bed. That could be a simple thing. And then the next thing to think about is how can you ensure that you fit this activity into your daily, weekly schedule. I'll say again. How can you ensure that you fit this activity in to your daily, weekly schedule? So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate you. You also want to think about what obstacles might get in the way of that. It's really important. Because I mentioned earlier about maybe how you're spending your time is on things that are not really important, not really meaningful. But if you can't see it, you won't see it. So that could be an obstacle, how you're maybe prioritising things that are not important to you. They might be important to other people, but you're not prioritising what's important to you, what is meaningful, what is going to give you the up level that you're looking for. So have a look at that. The resources I've got available, it's in my bio, or the link I'll provide depending when you see it. See, there's daily habits community, there's resources there, that's a women only space. Mindfulness group, that's again a women's only space. Also consultation, I can offer that and have a conversation to see what would best support you in the ways that I work, and also what's things to think about, because it might be you have a conversation with me and it might materialise that you'll be better off working with another professional, another community, or another support network that is a lot better aligned for you. And also the deeper work, if you want to work with me to lead you there and I can guide you, is a wellness plan. They start at £11.11, and also with a short consultation, 15 minutes, which is £33, because I value my time, which is why I redirect it lovingly onto things that are purposeful, meaningful, and that includes the people I serve. And I let go of the things that are not important, not bringing me joy, peace, happiness. And I'm ninja-like. If it's chaos, absolutely ninja-like. So that's me done. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you next week.